Teens World. Y'all know we got that 90s feel to it. Addiction. London Savoy. Leave Da Vinci on. Let's go.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the river and the lakes that you used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all.
Sing, girl.
But I think you're moving too fast. Ooh, yeah.
Let's go. So tell me your addiction. Is it the pill or the pipe? The weed or the bottle? Drinking every night like I'm searching for the message in the bottle. And because my daily routine, I think about that hit every night while I dream. Every moment I'm a fiend. I can't complete my work without a sip of that lean. Or give me something hard to go straight to the bloodstream. White lines of that powder, I'm boosting my self-esteem. See, the drugs come first. Over my friends and family, I'm like a vampire, I must quench my thirst. I'll even steal from my mama just to fill that verse. I've completed the family cycle, I can't break that curse. See, the women in my family, when they see me, they hide their purse. So what happened to little old me? I've been going down this path since the age of 13. I was a star in the family, now I no longer gleam. Walking past the mirror, I'm the furthest thing from clean. Teeth gone, weight gone, I'm floating down this terrible stream. But when I was a kid, that definitely wasn't my dream. See, how did I get into this space? What was the depression that had me losing all my faith? But the thing about those drugs, they only last for the moment. The problem disappears, and I'm left right here with myself, Mary Jane, and just those tears. Teens World.
Hi, I'm Dave Treadwell. I'm the Executive Director of Central Union Mission. And the mission has been privileged to serve the people of Washington since 1884. We began with men off the streets, at that time old muddy Pennsylvania Avenue Civil War veterans, many of them walking down the street, alcoholics, in need of some help. And we've been doing that now for 130 plus years. But as we succeeded in working with men, our work has spread out so that in 1917 we began working with children. In 1952 we opened our work to families. And today we try and reach out to anyone who's poor, homeless, needy in Washington, D.C.
What's going on, young world? And thank you for joining us for another episode of Teens World. I'm your host, Dwayne Michael, and I want to thank everyone for coming in today. Today we'll have an excellent episode, and I have some phenomenal people here today. Today we're going to talk about addiction, something that happens far too much in our community. And I'm so happy that we have someone very special to me who came into our set today. Today I have Frank Lopez. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing well, very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate you coming in today and sharing this story in efforts to educate and inform someone who is going through some of the things that you have gone through in the past.
Certainly.
So let's jump right into it. Take me to the beginning. What was going on that made you get addicted to whatever drug or substance that you got going on?
I believe it starts off like any other story, you know. It was the influences. It all began in high school. All my friends, I thought it was cool. And so I started hanging out with the crowd of people that just wanted to smoke and drink. You know, it all just started from there. And one thing led to another. I ended up just dropping out of high school and then getting my GED in City College. But throughout that whole entire time, I still continued to drink and smoke. But it led me into other things like acid, mushrooms, ketamine, salvia. And so I found myself just kind of wondering, you know, not really sure what to do. I would work. I mean, I got a job, and most of my spendings just went to festivals and partying and going out and doing things, you know, so I wasn't really having too much self-respect, you know, and yeah.
That sounds like there was a lot going on. So the first drugs that you used was the marijuana and alcohol.
Yes,
now,
indeed.
we have so many kids today who walk around and think that marijuana is not a drug. You got the federal government or state governments trying to legalize it in like some states. Now, do you believe that that's a gateway drug into something else?
It's hard to say. It really depends on the person.
On the person.
Because I really think it's not a gateway drug. When you smoke weed, you feel chill. You want to just like relax and, you know, do whatever pertains to that situation. Another, like for an example with alcohol, it's a different type of like substance. When you drink it, it makes you feel like you need to go and smoke a cigarette. You need to go and smoke, you know. Like for me, drinking is definitely the gateway drug. But depending on like the state, the government obviously will have a different interpretation on it. And so they believe that all drugs are a gateway to other things, which is totally understandable. And, you know.
What was the hardest drug?
Hardest drug, I believe it was ketamine.
What is ketamine? Explain. I don't even know what that is. Explain to me.
Ketamine is a cat tranquilizer. And it's a sodium-based substance. And you crush it down, you snort it, and it's a hallucinogen. And so you go through some tripping phase.
Wow. So who introduced you into that?
I used to do a lot of festival hopping.
Okay.
I've gone through like Burning Man, Reggae on the River. I went through like a few other different festivals in different states. And so what led me into that was just the environment, you know, the people I hang out with.
So your friends have a big, that circle, you know what I mean? Like they say that, you know, iron sharpens iron, geniuses hang out with geniuses. So people who use drugs are going to hang out with other drug users.
The same crowd of people, exactly.
The same crowd of people. Wow. So we looked in the past video that you're now at Central Union Mission, which is a shelter in Washington, D.C. Now let's go back. You're from California.
Yes, sir.
And then you came, well, there's a lot of stories. Talk about that story really quick.
I was born in California, San Jose Bay Area. When I was 3 months old, my dad had passed away. So
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you, it's all right. My stepdad had taken his place, had a kid, had 3 kids with my mom. From there, we moved to Arizona. We stayed about a couple years. And then from there, we drove to El Salvador, which is in Central America. My step family side were missionaries. So essentially what they were there for was to build houses for homeless people. And they built the 3 churches and converted the people that they had built houses for to Seventh-day Adventists. They baptized me in one of them. My mom, my stepdad had issues. My mom did a lot of drugs. My dad, I'm not entirely sure what he did. I just know that he had been going from El Salvador to Florida back and forth trying to figure out a place for us.
Do you think that it's hereditary?
I believe so.
It's a family cycle.
Yeah.
You can't break the curse like we said in the intro poem.
It's possible, definitely. You just got to have, a lot of people believe that it comes with willpower, but I believe it's more than that. You got to have God, the strength of his power to be able to move forward in your life, to be able to break those curses.
And that's some of the stuff that you're learning at the Central Mission Shelter.
Indubitably.
Yeah, okay, I love that. So when I come back, we're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
When I come back, I'm gonna bring somebody else on the table with us.
Sounds good.
Demetrius, who a friend of yours who was in the program with you.
Indeed.
And I know that you just started the program. Demetrius has gone through the program. I'm gonna talk about the beginning and the end. But I thank you so much for sharing about that story.
Thank you.
This your boy Dwayne Michael. This is Teens World. We'll be back in a second.
For many years, probably the first 80 years of the mission's existence, our biggest problem was alcohol. And beginning in the 60s, growing through the 70s and 80s, more and more we began to have problems with crack cocaine, heroin, other opiates, and now even some methamphetamine and prescription drugs are a problem here at the mission. What we see is so many of our men are used what I call targets of opportunity. One night they'll share a bottle of Jack Daniels, the next night somebody will have some heroin, and the next night they'll be on crack cocaine. We have to fight all of these through our spiritual transformation program, through our drug counselor, through our social workers. So we have to go through each man individually to try and find his area of need and work through him to help him both spiritually, to help him get a job, to help him understand his anger. All of those come into play as we work with these men to try and help them get back on their feet. And we do this Starting with overnight guests, we take them into our spiritual transformation program for several months of intense training, and then we find that it's very important that a man have a job. So when they complete their work at the mission, they either work for us, they go to training, or they have an outside job, and then they're restored to their families, to their churches, and back in the community.
What's going on, young world? It's your boy Dwayne Mike, and we are back. We've added someone to the set. We have Mr. Sims here today. Mr. Demetrius Sims, how you doing today, sir?
I'm blessed.
And I want to thank you so much for coming on the set today. So what we did is that both Frank and Mr. Sims are a part of a shelter,
Yes.
Central Union Mission. And Frank, you're new to the program, and Demetrius, you have gone through the program. So I want to start it off with, please tell us, what was your past addiction that got you to the place you were at?
Well, I used to be, before I found the Lord,
Thank God.
addicted to K2.
K2.
The only reason I was addicted to K2 was because I was put on papers.
So you couldn't have actual marijuana, so you did the synthetic marijuana.
Yes, yes. There's nothing synthetic about it. That thing right there will take everything that you work so hard to get and achieve. But the grace that God has shown me gave me Central Union Mission.
So hold on, let's talk about this K2, because isn't K2 something I've heard that you can get from a gas station on much?
Yeah, that's exactly where I got it from.
From the gas station.
Yes, sir.
I've heard some street terms like Scooby-Doos or something like that.
Well, Scooby-Doos, Bizarros. They have the craziest names to them, but the best pictures.
But the best pictures. So what does synthetic marijuana, we know that regular marijuana, it'll have you relax and, you may be sit back a little bit, or your mind may get manic and you're like jumping all over the place. What does synthetic marijuana do to you?
Actually, synthetic marijuana does what I would like to call a extravagant high.
Okay.
It gets you high so fast, and then you like, oh my goodness, I'm so high. And next thing you know, you're not high. Mm-hmm. You're sober. It's a very short-term high. And it's something that I've learned through my studies that it does have to be accepted by the FDA. For it to be accepted by FDA, then they keep changing their drugs in it, the chemicals they put in it. So it's like they can't get caught up with it or stop it.
So what was the point that made you say, that got you to the shelter?
Well, the point was the fact that I started doing things I wasn't proud of.
Like what?
Like I took my mother's flat screen TV and sold it.
Wow.
The stories I've heard about crack cocaine and things like that, I was doing it. Everything you've ever heard about an addiction, I've done it. Wow. And it hurt me because I had a sheltered life. My mother provided for me the most and the best of all. And I would do that to her just for a high.
I mean, we talked offset. I mean, you went to one of the most prominent high schools in the nation, DeMatha Catholic High School, at one point. So
yeah.
We know that your mother was invested into providing a great life for you.
Yes.
Talk about Central Union Mission.
Well, Central Union Mission, to me, outside of my mother, is the best thing God has ever given me. I have the opportunity to be around men who love the Lord, who are accountable for anything and everything that I do wrong. If I fall off, they would, like a man, grab me up, snatch me up, sit down, and be like, the word say. And at first I was like, I don't want to hear this holy roly stuff, but I needed it.
You needed it.
I needed it.
So I know Frank is new to the program. So what advice have you given him? Or what advice would you give him since he's new? You have completed or you're close to completion of the program, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what advice would you tell Frank, someone who is newly into the program? What would you tell him?
I would preferably love to tell Mr. Frank that if you stick to it and hold on to what is promised to you from being in here, then it will come to pass.
Amen.
Jobs, relationship with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
He is a God of reconciliation. I get to see my kids now without the
blessing.
assistance of the system. I get to do it because they want me in their life. They see a change in me, and they will in you too if you hold on.
What's your relationship with your mother and both the mother of your child?
Well, my mother is like my best friend.
Good. I'm glad.
The mother of my children, I hurt them. So it's gonna take
It's gonna take time. It's
Yeah,
gonna take time.
it's gonna take a little bit of time. See, my mother loves me
Regardless.
unconditionally.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
That's exactly
She
what
birthed
I. Thank you, God. Because without that honesty on that behalf, then I would be stuck. But the honesty of the fact that she cares about me and loves me, regardless of what I've done, is good for me. But the mothers, I didn't do right by them. It was because of the drug. I don't want to blame every decision I've made on the drug, but I was a way better person.
I got one question before we have to head to break. What led you to the drug, though? What was the thing that said, no, I'm about to try? Well, you said it was the papers.
Yes, sir.
But what you get on papers for?
Selling marijuana.
Selling marijuana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So was it the neighborhood you was in? What made you start selling marijuana?
Well, because I had this picture-perfect life, and I just wanted to be accepted. And selling drugs was the form of acceptance.
That was a cool thing that all the cool kids you thought was doing.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys, I'm so happy for you two. To see, you know what I'm saying, two young men getting help, doing it the right way, is really, really touching my heart. And I know someone out there is going through the same thing that you're doing. And I advise everybody, listen, check out this shelter. Central Union Mission is phenomenal. We were down there yesterday. We did a whole backstory on it. And the people there are absolutely amazing. And we appreciate you so much. Next up, I'm going to bring on someone to the set, a very, very close friend of mine. We work together. You guys have seen her several times on the show. Mrs. Mayo, she is our psychotherapist, and she's going to come on the set, and she's going to provide you some more information, see if she can be another assistant to you both.
Yes, sir.
This is your boy, Dwayne Michael. This is Teens World. We'll be back with you in 1 second.
Thank you.
What's going on, young world? It's your boy, Dwayne Michael. We are back. I hope everyone is at home getting as much information from this episode that I'm getting today sitting on this set. I mean, this has been absolutely phenomenal. And these are the type of important topics that we must speak about to save our youth. You guys know her very, very well, a very close friend of mine, a colleague of mine, Miss Brittany Mayo, who is a psychotherapist. And I appreciate you so much because I know I'm taking up all your time these days. But I just appreciate you so much. And, and you guys, you see we're back with Mr. Sims and Mr. Lopez right there. So, Mrs. Mayo, from a therapeutic standpoint, what are some of the things you see that lead to addiction?
Well, there are a number of things that often lead to drug and alcohol addiction. Some of those things are just your biological makeup and your genetics, and some of those things are early exposure to alcohol. Let's say you had parents that were using alcohol or drugs and they exposed you to that early on. Other things are peer pressure at school. Stress, anxiety, and depression are often leading causes as well.
You know, one thing that I've noticed on the set today, neither one of the gentlemen grew up underprivileged. It seems like, Demetrius, you grew up in a good household and your family was into mission work.
Yeah.
So what is that the peer pressure, trying to be somebody that you're not? Like what is taking them in? Because it's not like they're, you know what I'm saying, like they grew up and they're around a neighborhood where it's like bad. I mean, they grew up in pretty decent areas and environments. So what would you say from a therapeutic standpoint is leading them to go off this path when it's kind of set up for them to really succeed?
Well, it's a case-by-case basis. Everyone's story is different. It can be environmental factors, but it can also be just peer pressure within a set group of people. So not necessarily your environment is pressuring you, but rather the people that you're around may be pressuring you on whatever it is that their reason is for using, which could then be environmental or biological. And then now you're hanging around these people, and so now they're influenced to you.
So how does someone know when they're addicted?
Well, I think the biggest indicator is when the addiction is replacing things that you once found enjoyable, and the addiction is also hindering your life to the point that maybe you can't go to work, maybe you can't do your daily activities and things like that. That's when you know that the addiction is causing you some problems.
Was it like that for you, gentlemen? Like, I gotta get this K2 before I even pay attention to class or before I do anything?
When I used to get up in the morning, the first thing on my mind was getting another one. Before I went to bed every night, I didn't pray. I didn't think about what I need to do. I thought about what's my plans on getting another one for tomorrow. I couldn't go to sleep without it.
Frank, how about you?
It was actually just really part of my lifestyle, you know. So when I wake up and go and chill, the first thing that we thought about was just getting a blunt. And we just go and kick it and walk the city, you know, and then pick up some beers and stuff. So it was just kind of something we did for fun. You know, there was really no peer pressure involved with it. I mean, the influences is what causes a lot of people to, like, fall short, you know. But even a righteous man will get back up and try to go into that straight, narrow path, you know. So it takes a while, but
I
yeah.
want to know, how much do these drugs cost?
Really depends where you're at. If you're in California, see over there, you buy a G of, like, some green for $5. But over here, it's essentially like 15 to like $20. So,
K2, how much does it cost?
Well, for 10 gram of anything, it's 20. But if you're buying it from a street connoisseur, I guess that's what we could call them.
Street cost.
It's $2 to $3 a J.
So it's just, I mean, these it's cheap drugs, but have a terrible long-term effect on the person. Brittany, let's talk about some coping mechanisms. What are the things that people can you know, what can help them get through it?
Definitely a support system, whether that is your church or whether it is family. Recognizing who is your support system, and then a plan. Always have a plan, because when you're in the process of recovery, things will get bad. Sometimes, you know, you might have a bad day, and you want to have a plan for, okay, what will I do if I'm having a bad day, you know, or I have any temptation today. Definitely having that plan, definitely having a support system. And another thing, physical activity and exercise is good for a lot of depression, anxiety. So when you're feeling these other emotions that come without the drug that you were using the drug to sedate, then you have to replace that with maybe some physical activity.
Wow. You guys, this has been, by far, this has been the best episode. I thank you guys so much. And I want you guys to know that we are here for you. I mean, you're going to have all of our information, and we definitely want to do some follow-up stories. You know, I was talking to you offset. You said that mass communications was something that you love to do.
Yes, sir.
I would love to see that dream come true. And if there's anything that we can do to really, really help you with that, like, I'm so serious. And Frank, matter of fact, let me ask you, what are some of the goals that you have in life? What do you want to accomplish?
one of my goals is actually to get back to the West Coast. My daughter is out there waiting for me, and I'm hoping that through this program that will help me restructure my life so that I can come up with a good, like, fitted plan for where I can move forward and be able to succeed, you know. I mean, I'm a cook. For the past 6-7 years, I've been just line cook, prep, you know, just doing chef works, catering, you know. And so I don't really see myself doing much of that anymore, because being part of that environment had led me to drinking more, because of all the people that are cooks, you know, they all have their little things.
Everybody has a little vice.
Yeah.
So, again, I just want to thank you guys so much. I thank the people at Central Union Mission so much. Mrs. Chambers, everyone down there. You guys welcomed us with open arms. You allowed us to come into your home, come into the shelter, which is your home, and get the information. And we just truly appreciate that. And that's what Teens World is all about. We are a family. We are one family. It takes a village to raise this family, and that's what we are. And I appreciate you guys so much. Mrs. Brittany Mayo, for the information that you give us every single week. We thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sims, Mr. Lopez, we are here. And now we're going to get ready to go to one of my favorite parts of the show. It's the Talent of the Week and the Buzz of the Week. And you guys know we always bring it every single week with some new hot track, something that's going to be amazing. So I thank you guys again. This your boy Dwayne Michael. We're about to head over to the Talent of the Week and then the Buzz of the Week. We'll see you guys in a little bit. You guys take care.
I don't know what it is that you've done to me, but it's caused me to act in such a crazy way. what you do, what you do, what you do to me. Oh, it's a feeling I don't want to stay. 'Cause my heart stops beating triple times when thoughts of loving on my mind. I can't figure out just what to do when the cause and cure is you. I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. I lose all control and something takes over me. And your day, it gets so amazing. It's not a phase. I want you to stay with me by my side. I swallow my pride. Oh, love is so sweet, knocks me right off my feet. Can't explain why your love makes me weak. Time after time after time, I try to fight it. Your love is strong, it keeps on holding on. Distance is down when you're around, pride's fading. In my condition, I don't want to be alone. 'Cause my heart starts beating triple times with thoughts of loving you on my mind. I can't figure out just what to do when the cause and cure is you. I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. I lose all control over me. In the day, your love's so amazing. It's not a phase. I want you to stay with me by my side. I swallow my pride. Your love is so sweet, knocks me right off of my feet. Yeah. Can't explain why your love it makes me weak. Yeah. Come on. I try hard to fight it. No